A character in Code Geass that I want to talk about is Prince Clovis. Clovis is a character that certainly wouldn't be on the covers. And if you haven't seen um, Code Geass, there could be some stuff here revealed. It's hard to talk about Clovis without revealing some important information, so that's something to know. But basically, Clovis, I think, served the role that he had in the story very well. Clovis was brought on to be the first villain of the series. The show builds up to Charles. They don't want to give him away right away. They're building up to him, and um, even before they get to some of the more major threats like Cornelia and Schneisel, they have Clovis, and Clovis is an interesting character. He's only around for a certain amount of time, and I think he made the most of it. And I think he's just a really good example of a villain to start things off with. Since he was a villain to start things off with before they build up to bigger threats and more complex characters, Clovis wasn't meant to be the most interesting villain, but he's still the first villain of the series. He still holds some importance, so he would still have to be an interesting character and a competent enough threat, which he was. Uh, the first villain to cause trouble, and we got to see what he did, and he served his role well. He had a good presence, he has a memorable design, had a fun voice, he was charming for a villain, but very menacing, misguided in his actions, and his interactions with Lelouch were very good, and Clovis, you could see some of his humanity, how he was a very scared person, but he let his insecurities corrupt him. He became spoiled. He became villainous. He put a lot of innocent people in danger for very petty reasons, basically, so he wouldn't get in trouble. And he really helped get the plot going with what he tried to do with C2. So he's very important and managed to impact the plot. And even after he was gone, he was still impacting the plot and was brought up a lot by other characters. So he really is about as close to of a perfect villain to start the series off with as you can get, because he served that role well as the first villain who's not as interesting as the villains that come afterwards, but isn't a boring villain. And I think that's good to keep in mind for writers. Like if you want to have a villain that's not the main villain, but a villain to start things off with, that character shouldn't necessarily be more exciting or threatening than the main villain, but should still be an interesting character, should still have some attributes that are memorable and some stuff that's pretty important for the plot. And I think that's what the writers of Code Geass did with Clovis, and I think he did a great job at being the first villain of the series.